Hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here this week. If we haven't met yet, my name's Josh. I'm one of the pastors serving you here at Community Grace Lutheran Church right here in Peoria, Arizona. And we are approaching the end of our exploration of John's Gospel. This is the last one before we get to Holy Week, that last week of Jesus's earthly life and ministry. We are exploring the book of John and his statement this week, I am the resurrection and the life. Now, you may not know this about me. I've said it before, but this might be the first time we're talking about it directly. But I have been a lifelong Star Trek fan. I watched reruns and episodes in syndication as a very young child whenever the bunny ears on top of the TV could be manipulated to get the right station. And I'd also watch on VHS tapes the movies of Star Trek that had been recorded through the VCR, including all of those old terrible commercials that came along with it. And even through young adulthood and even through to today, I watch it all the time. I watch old episodes streaming, and I even watch the newest stuff that comes out. I kind of just love it all. And this past week, in the last week, I watched the season finale of the newest show. But as I was watching it, I was reminded and going back and looking through some of the earlier episodes of that particular series. And I remember going back to the very first episode of the show, getting introduced to all the characters. And there's one of these brand new characters who was very seriously wounded in a battle with the bad guys, like you do. Now, she had come from a family where both of her parents were from two completely different warrior cultures. These were tough, battle-hardened types of folks, and she's receiving treatment for a pretty serious wound that she had received. And while she's receiving that treatment, as she's trying to teach the students that she's there to teach, she drops one of the greatest mantras from one of the two of her origin species. She declared, as of right now, I'm already dead. I go into battle to reclaim my life. Isn't that just a cheerful message as we start exploring John's Gospel today? Does it not make sense to you yet? I promise I will do my best to make sure you understand it soon. Today we encounter what is considered to be, at least in John's Gospel, the last true sign or miracle that Jesus is going to perform before his death and his resurrection. Well, that's, of course, if you don't count the resurrection as a sign or a miracle, which for some reason the really smart scholars never do, but I digress. When we encounter Jesus in this story, he has once again attracted a lot of negative attention towards himself. Let's be honest, folks, at this point in John's Gospel, were out to capture, arrest, and kill Jesus already. And he's kind of escaped the province. He's gone across the river Jordan to get a little bit of peace and quiet. But when he's out there, he quickly receives word that something is wrong. Now, a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, Lord, he whom you love is ill. But when Jesus heard it, he said, this illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place he was. Now, eventually, Jesus goes on his way to go to where Lazarus and his family are. He goes to Bethany. He waits 2 days, and then it takes him a little while to get there. Now, while he is traveling, Jesus recognizes, because, well, he's Jesus, that Lazarus has already died. And so he's traveling, he's getting there, and while he's still a distance away from the village, Lazarus' sister Martha approaches Jesus, and she is just kind of understandably filled with grief, maybe even anger. She seems to be upset that Jesus wasn't getting there sooner, that he hadn't already arrived. But when she seems to be at her absolute lowest, when she seems to be struggling and in the midst of this heartbreak and heartache, we get this incredible set of lines here. Jesus says to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? even in her grief, she says this, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one coming into the world." Martha's upset, understandably so. But she knows who Jesus is, what Jesus has come into the world to do. And yet, I don't think she's going to quite comprehend what's going to happen next. But before anything major, before the big sign or miracle comes, her sister comes out too, just as upset, just as hurt. And they have both made to Jesus this very same declaration in their grief and their anguish. Jesus, if you had just been here, this awful thing wouldn't have happened. My brother would still be here. And so now we get to the best part of the story. Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Jesus and Jesus alone is the resurrection and the life. Jesus has the power and the willingness to set us free from the shackles of death and gives to us life eternal and abundant. But what many of us struggle to understand is that isn't a gift that we need to wait to receive, to enjoy at the end of our earthly life. The truth is, as many of us go through our journeys in this world as though we're already dead. We are dead in our inability to forgive. We are dead in our own greed. We are dead in our ambition. We are dead in our generosity, and we are dead in our unwillingness to serve those around us. We're dead in our addictions, and we are dead in our sinful nature, these ways that we harm ourselves and cause harm to others. We're also dead in our inability to see the face of God in our neighbors and strangers. We're also sometimes dead in our ability to see the face of God in ourselves when we look at ourselves in the mirror. We act as though we're already dead and in our tombs, either from our own actions or the actions of people around us who have tried to put us there. And so many of us, like my inspiration from Star Trek, we declare that we're already dead, and we feel that we have to fight to earn our life, that we have to do something to receive it. And yet Jesus tells us today and every day something very different. He calls us out of the tombs that we have found ourselves in, that we have placed ourselves in. He calls us out to us in the places where we have mistakes and let them overwhelm us and taken our joy from us, and it's been stolen from us. And he cries out to us in this place of death and tells us to come out into new life. Jesus is the resurrection. Jesus is the life. He has defeated sin and death forever for us, and we can leave all those harmful things that we do and we believe about ourselves and the things that we believe about our neighbors in that grave after he has called us out. And this is something that Jesus has already done for you and has done for all people. Are you ready to walk in the life that Jesus has for you? Or will you stay buried behind the rock, buried in the cave, hoping that the stone will be replaced and you can be hidden there? That's up to you. Now, this coming weekend, we're going to have our annual meeting to talk about how 2025, the year ended for us here at Grace. We were able to accomplish some incredible things as we continue to seek to follow Jesus on the bold, reckless adventure of bringing grace to the world. We have welcomed tons of new members. We have helped so many people in their walks of faith and in their lives in crisis. We have brought in new staff members and created new opportunities to love and serve our neighbors as we proclaim the greatest story that has ever been told, the story that the grave has no power over us through the power of Jesus. And we've managed to do all of those things as we've experienced lower levels of giving and generosity. We've weathered some pretty difficult situations and painful situations caused by the sinfulness of others. We've done it while continuing to deal with changing patterns of attendance and religious devotion in our society as it continues to compete with the other demands of this life. We've managed to accomplish all of this in the midst of upheaval in the world, uncertainty in the economy, and levels of animosity between our fellow citizens that seems to be at an all-time high. We've got incredible plans for the rest of 2026 and beyond, plans that we know that God has made and called us for this moment, his mission. God is on the move here at Grace, but God is also calling us and inviting us to even greater faithfulness as we continue to grow and expand our ability to share his grace with the world. Opportunities abound. And we can hear the call, or we can keep hiding in the grave, afraid to be bold and step out in faith. We can retreat and pull back in the face of higher costs and greater cultural headwinds. We can lean on our own understandings and take a conservative and defensive stance, trying to just preserve whatever it is that we still have, or we can hear Jesus cry out to us in certainty and in joy, in power and in might, to hear him to call us out from a place of hiding and live in the life that Jesus has already given to us and the entire world, to declare his power and his authority with every ounce of our lives as individuals and as the body of Christ. Are you ready to walk out of the grave and walk in the life that he has for us? If so, let's get to it. Amen.